Here we are with more of the Beatles catalogue. I'm going to be trying to cover as much of their music as possible. This new selection or next period of videos, I could say, are going to be on the 63 and 64 years of the Beatles. These two tracks are non-album singles that were released in 1963, the first of which is called Thank You Girl. So this track was inspired by some of the fan letters that the band was receiving at the time, which is a trope or a inspiration that they use quite often. This idea of writing letters. You think of tracks like P.S. I Love You. This track here, even the other song that I'll be covering in this video, which is From Me to You, it's a structure that they use quite consistently. The idea of writing back to their fans or writing letters, and I'm here for it. I want to see the evolution of the band's writing, particularly John and Paul McCartney's collaboration and their ability to create with one another. So here we go. Let's check out this track. This is Thank You Girl by the Beatles. I think this is a great example of the Beatles' early style that I've heard so far, especially the idea of like John, lead vocal, and Paul being the backup voice, backing him so perfectly. It almost sounds like a double track. It's really interesting. And also this idea of writing letters, like this is a very prevalent theme in a lot of their early music, where it's like they're talking directly to their fans. That's how it would feel like, at least, right? They're speaking to the listener often in a lot of their early writing, which is an indication of them being intelligent in terms of songwriting. How do we connect to our audience? This is a way to do it. Make it sound like a letter. I could tell the world a thing or two about our love. Right? Great bass work. And all I gotta do is thank you, girl. Thank you, girl. You've been good to me. You made me laugh when I was blue. This is, I think, also another component of their early work. The emotion of the song is very pure. The intent of the song is super pure. It's not the most complex message in the world, but I imagine like a listener listening to this and like kind of being uplifted by the spirit of the track, right? Eternally, I'll always be in love with you. And all I gotta do is thank you, girl. Thank you, girl. Ringo. Great bass work, fantastic drumming, especially at the end there. It has a great harmonica on it as well, and I think the vocal harmonies are fantastic. The way that they backed each other there. So all speaking of the production of George Martin, a pretty simple bop, but again, it's filled with a lot of spirit, a lot of great emotions. And a secret trick of theirs, again, like I was talking about, was the idea of this letter style, speaking to the listener about our love, our connection. So cool song, cool early track from the Beatles. On to the next one. From Me to You is the A-side of the single release, with the previous song being the B-side. This track was actually written in the back of a bus on the way to a gig that the band was having, which I think shows how creatively alive the band was. It was kind of just flowing out of them at the moment. It could be captured at any moment. It could happen at any time. Now, this band, or this track I should say, was inspired partly by a magazine that they were reading, where they had a section in the magazine which was called From Us From You to Us, I think it was called, and they switched it up from Me to You, so it's inspired by, again, fan interactions, fan letters at the time. So here we go, let's check out the song. Here we go, this one is From Me to You by the Beatles.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. I got everything that you want, like a heart that's oh so true. Just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you.
Okay, I was speaking in the last one about like backing vocals and double tracks. I think this is an even better example of that early style of theirs, where like it sounds, if I could pick out the harmonies and the voices, it's definitely Paul doing the higher parts. I said definitely, I'm not too sure. It sounds like Paul doing the higher parts. Whatever it is, it does sound like perfectly in sync. They were almost made to sing with each other, which I think a lot of people would probably agree with.
I got arms that long to hold you and keep you by my side. I got lips that long to kiss you and keep you satisfied. If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. From me to you, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you.
One other thing, I was speaking about the emotions of these songs. I find it really cool that so much of the early work is filled with this idea of like hope. Love emanates from their music early on, and historically is what I'm usually interested in most, the lyrics and like historical context, what the artists are trying to say. I think it's a really interesting time for that. I think this was quite a let's say a difficult time period, right? I think around 63 is where JFK is assassinated, and then here it comes along this music that's full of hope and love. I think it was maybe an antidote to the times, a lot of war happening, some uncertainty. If not the JFK thing, it's the idea of like this generation being born after the war, growing up after the war, of having hope that life can go on. Maybe I'm reaching here, but I think this is why they connected a lot early on with their music. It's so full of this hopeful spirit.
I got arms that long to hold you and keep you by my side. I got lips that long to kiss you and keep you satisfied. If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you, to you, to you, to you.
A signature track from their early period. If you ask me, I can see why this was the A side. It certainly sounds much more of a, like, definitely a bigger hit. It has a hit-like sound quality to it. Speaking of the sound quality, I find that their music is so well produced, which is a shout out to George Martin, of course. It's so well done in terms of the choices that they make. Oh, okay, this is a perfect track to have this element to it. Even when they slow it down, they put the right things around the music to get the right emotion out. This one was more of a fun track, and the bass line I think fit the bop of the track so well. And then again, harmonicas fit too. I think two great examples of everything that they were early on. Now, what I'm most curious is to see the evolution. So hopefully I'll start picking up on their songwriting becoming more complex, etc. going forward. So cool songs, man. Cool songs to check out. Catch you guys on the next one.